My name is Diane Roberson Hill, and I'm here today on the behalf of Phases EAP to talk to you about how to help your children, how to answer their questions during this time that we're in. But I first want to say something to all of you. I know there's been a lot of talk about how horrible 2020 was, and I know that you have been on the first line service in a way that most of us can't even comprehend. And I want you to know how much we think about you, how much we appreciate all that you're doing, and how much we want to be there for you as we all try to manage this difficult time that we're in. So my topic today is about the 4 questions that children generally ask when there's some kind of trauma or disaster. And one of the interesting things about children is that they most want to know that you're okay. And they want to know, how is this disaster going to affect their lives? How is it going to affect the lives of the people they love? Are they going to be okay? Are you going to be okay? And is the world they're in going to be okay? And one of the things I found in working with children over the years, because trauma over the last 4 or 5 years has been one of my specialties, is that children process things in their mind a lot different than, or somewhat different than we do as adults. Everybody has their own response to trauma, and every child has their own individual response to trauma. But we all want the same thing in the end, and that's our safety and our sense of well-being, and to know that we love those that love us and are around us are also okay. Many times as we watch children try to navigate these things that happen, where that's, what we've gone through with the pandemic and them not being able to go to daycare or school, and maybe because of the pressures of your job, they're having to cope with you're not being there when they're home and not knowing what's going to happen the next day. So some of the things we're going to talk about are going to really help with that. But what I want to stress today is that you really do need to talk to them. Children are dependent on you in their minds for sustenance, for life. And they're going to feel that way until they're able to provide for themselves and to forage for their own food, if you want to say. And in this day and time that we're in, some children are taking longer to do that than others. But today we're going to kind of concentrate on maybe the smaller children, the elementary age children, but a lot of these concepts can apply to children, to teenagers as well. So just modify this as you try to approach your child and give him what he needs to move forward in a successful way. When we talk about what children need, there are 4 basic things that are really essential to them being able to feel secure and safe and know that you have and are able to provide what they need. The first thing is people. To be around people who are familiar, to have time to spend with you, with grandparents, with a select group of people, as isolated as we are in this time, to use things like FaceTime, WhatsApp, all the resources that we have available to us so that they can actually see and communicate with people that they're used to seeing and that they trust. One of the other things that I think is real essential to children is that they have familiar things around them. They have a place to relax. They have their rooms that they can still go to. They have their home that maintains some type of calmness and consistency, and they're fed and they have warmth and they know what's going to happen in any given day. That sense of routine becomes really important to them because they have so little control over anything that's happening around them. And so sometimes we have to be creative in providing that structure. If you can't be there in the morning, then there's somebody maybe reaching out to them with a phone call, or people that you trust who are coming by and helping them do what they need to do to get ready in the morning and to get themselves to school, to eat breakfast. And that as much as possible, those kinds of routines happen consistently on the same day at the same time. And as much as possible with consistent people. And this just helps to stabilize their emotions and to provide them with some reassurance that their life is going to be stable and it's going to remain stable through this. We all know as parents that children witness our own stress, and they experience some of that right along with us. So it's really important as you're talking with them and interacting with them that you answer that question. I've watched families sometimes after the death of a loved one, and they will ask, how are your children doing? They said they're fine. They stayed in here for a minute and then they just went outside and played. Well, that's what children do. And that's how they communicate to us their distress. So when you're providing that structure and those rituals at home, just be mindful of that and watch how they play and what they play and be present with them in that. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go along. The rituals that you develop with your children, if they're accustomed to somebody waking them up with a kiss on the cheek, those kinds of things are very, very reassuring to a child or a teenager when they know you're going to come in the morning and you're going to ask them how they slept, and you maybe have a little bit of conversation, or when they get home from school, touching base with them as much as you can, or a trusted person in their life touching base with them about how their day went, what they've got on their plans for the future, how is that going to happen. That there are some real rituals in their lives. And we normally do this as parents, but at a time like this, it takes on a really special meaning. So if you've been reading to your child at night before they went to bed, or some parents read because it's the only time they have in the morning before the kids go to school, make sure that happens. And that's reassuring to you too, because you're present with them, you're touching them, and you too are experiencing the benefit of those rituals. Don't stress yourself out about doing anything special. Like I said, it may be something as simple as a little kiss on the cheek before they go to school. Just give that to them and give that to yourself as well. One of the things that I tell people about talking with their children is that children notice everything that's going on around them. We think they didn't hear that phone conversation, and sometimes they didn't, but sometimes they're playing in the other room, but while you're on the phone, they're sneaking closer and closer because they know that something's happening and they want to know that it's not them. I work with children so many times, and almost every time I've asked this question of a child, do you blame yourself for what happened? They will burst into tears. And not because you've laid that on them, but because children are very aware of where our emotional radar is and our emotional state is. And they're going to be looking, if they didn't cause it, they're going to be looking to how they solve it. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to do something while I'm talking. And it's called a butterfly technique. And this technique is meant to help your child calm himself. And it's a wonderful tool for adults too. When I use it with children or in families, I call it a hug with wings. And this is how it's done. Very simple. It's just crossing your arms and very, very gently tapping from one shoulder to the other. And I won't go into all the science of it, but what this helps to do is to stimulate those neuropathways that promote calm. And even while you're talking with your children, maybe during this exercise, you can ask them, where does it hurt? Where do you feel uncomfortable in your body? And they can tell you that sometimes, even though they can't put words to the stress that they're under. And so as you're talking, you just let them know we're going to give ourselves some butterfly hugs today. And we're going to do this until we feel better. And my theory is, in working with children, if you keep their hands busy, they'll talk. So let this go on for as long as you feel like it's comfortable for you and them. You can laugh while you're doing it. You can talk about what you're having for dinner that night. You can talk about what you're planning for the future. It's taking them out of that trauma and moving at least that discomfort from the present into the past. So you can go on and have a safe and enjoyable life for you and your children. I will say this, I know that you're doing the best you can. And you will let them know that you're doing the best you can. Tell them that. And that you're going to take care of them and you're going to take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important first step. You know, there's the old adage or remembering when you fly on a plane and you've got someone in your care, they will tell you if that oxygen mask comes down, you use it first because you've got to be able to use it to help them. And so I have something I want to leave with you today from Mr. Rogers. Anything that is human is mentionable, and everything that is mentionable can be made manageable. When we talk about our feelings, they can become less overwhelming, less upsetting, and less scary. The people we trust with that important talk can help us know that we are not alone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here today. And thank you to Phases EAP and Mobile Infirmary Health System.